It seems like absolute ages since Shoei first teased us with the Glamster helmet, and that's because it has been. So now it's finally landed. What's it all about? Let's get the name thing out of the way first off. It's not a great name, I must admit, but it is only a name, and thankfully Shoei haven't plastered that name all over the helmet. That's not really their style. There are a couple of Glamster stickers in the box, so if you do want to go down that route, you're more than welcome to, but I know where I'll be putting those stickers. This is a bit of an unusual video for me because if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I always try and test all of the items before I review them. Obviously, with the coronavirus lockdown and the helmet landing in the middle of that, I've not had the opportunity to do that. I've only really had a chance to wear it around the house. Hence, this is part one with a quick look at the tech specs and an overview and some of the features of the helmet. And then I'll follow this up with part two, which will be a road test as and when I get the chance to do that. So let's get on to the technical stuff. In terms of the shell, well, if you've been looking at the X0 or the JO or the RYD or largely any of the Shoei helmets, the tech in this is exactly the same. The shell is constructed of Shoei's AIM material. It has a multi-density EPS liner. This helmet in particular comes in sizes from extra small to extra large, and there are 3 shell sizes which cover that size range. Now, one thing you'll notice when you look at this helmet is it's quite a compact shell. To get that classic or retro styling, if you prefer that terminology, they've kind of shrunk the dimensions of the helmet, brought the chin bar in, and just overall made it nice and svelte. It does mean it's quite lightweight. This weighs in at around about 1300 grams, which for a Shoei lid in this material is pretty good going. The lining is completely removable, and the cheek pads are replaceable with different thicknesses. So you can get a 31mm, 35mm and 39mm just to make sure you get a really good fit. The cheek pads, as we would come to expect, have the emergency quick release system on them, as signified by these red tabs. You'll also notice that I've got the chin sock fitted to this, and that's just because it stopped my beard from sticking out of the bottom of the chin bar. This comes in the box with the helmet, and it just snaps into place and can be pulled off nice and easily. Sticking with the interior, there is a small recess in the side to accommodate speakers for a comms unit, and the helmet has a traditional double D-ring taking care of the chin strap security. The pin lock ready visor is very practical, and the visibility and clarity from that is exceptionally good. The catch, a little click forward on that will release it, and the visor can be clicked into intermediate positions throughout its travel. The hinge mechanism has a suitably retro style to it, but that does come at the expense of a quick release. So although it's not a difficult system to undo, you will need a cross-headed screwdriver to be able to undo this bolt to take it off. It is then a simple case of undoing that bolt. The metal plate that sits on the top of that pulls off, and then the visor just unhooks from the mount on the side. The smaller screw at the bottom is used to just adjust the fit of the visor on the helmet to make sure it's lined up and to make sure you get a good seal on the face opening. And talking of which, there's a very well executed seal around the edge here. And that seal obviously is important not only for drafts and noise, but also for keeping the rain out. And that's one area where a lot of other retro helmets let themselves down. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the shell size is quite compact, and it's very similar, if not identical, to the X0 and the JO from the face backwards. Both of those are excellent helmets, so that's a good start. The eye port is nice and big and wide. Vision from that is really good. As I say, I haven't had a chance to ride in it, but first impressions from that are plenty of space to see what's going on and no intrusion from the chin bar. It's not like looking through a letterbox. However, the eye port isn't quite as big as you might think. There's a couple of people who had commented saying, well, they'll like to rock this with a pair of goggles, and you can do that, of course, but you will have to be careful what goggles you choose. I tried it with my Biltwell Moto 2 goggles, which are a standard size motocross goggle, and they only just about fit in the eye port. They kind of press on the top and the lower cheeks, and you kind of have to wedge them in there. So they're not ideal, but they do work. Something like the Davida Aviator would be a better choice if you want to wear goggles with this. So that's just something to bear in mind. I don't think it's a real issue. This isn't the type of helmet really that you're going to be wearing with goggles for most of the time. If you're doing that, you're better off looking at the X0, but it's just something that I wanted to bring to your attention because it does look like a big opening. It is a big opening, but it's not quite as big as you might expect. Now the chin bar is narrower and thinner than others in the Shoei range, and to get that retro compactness, the chin bar has been moved in, so there is less room, certainly less room than something like the X0, but it's not so narrow fitting that you have any issues with being really close to it or putting your chin in it. There's a couple of helmets I've tried where my chin will touch that chin bar. I didn't have this with this helmet. It is less roomy than others, but I don't think it's a problem. I think Shoei have got a really good balance between getting that compact look and giving you enough room. Ventilation is obviously one of the things that I've not been able to test. The double set of opening on the chin are permanently open. There is no way of closing those vents, but they are to the side as opposed to directly on the front, so you're not going to get a big blast of air through those. Actually, the chin bar on the inside doesn't have any opening. What these are designed at the bottom to do is direct air up, which comes through two channels on the top side of the chin bar to get a stream of air going up onto the visor. There is also at the sides of the chin bar and just in front of the cheek pads a small mesh area, and that looks like an area where it just allows a bit of air to circulate, so you're getting some fresh air moving around. It should be good in warm weather, and it shouldn't be too bad in the winter either because you're not getting a direct blast of air straight into your face. The top vent is really simple to operate, a nice easy open and shut slider. Now this vent moves air in two ways. Firstly, it will move it through channels in the top of the helmet so that you get some air moving down onto the top of the visor, and there are also channels in the EPS liner so the air will come in and go through those channels to help keep the coolness in the top of the head and move the heat out to the back. It will just vent out of the back of the neck curtain. Now of course some people won't like the look of the top vent. They'd prefer a smoother helmet with arguably a more retro look. Personally, I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't look particularly like a modern vent. It could easily be something from a helmet from the 70s or 80s, and you will certainly be glad of it in warm weather. Obviously, we're going to have to wait for the full road test for me to give you a full update on what that ventilation is like, but the signs are promising. So the Glamster offers you the renowned build quality from Shoei, the high levels of safety, as well as these classic looks. So I think this certainly puts the Glamster right up in the top of the list of modern retro helmets that are available. I love the X0.
It's extremely badass.
The JO was the open face helmet of choice for me for quite some time, and I think this is going to be a very much well-worn helmet. It's got understated classic styling, but it's got all of the features that you would want largely from a modern helmet, and I think Shoei have, apart from the name, hit the nail on the head with this one. Just to finish off, it comes in 8 colorways. The plain colours come in at $399, the graphics at $499. Obviously the Glamster is a new helmet and will be in quite high demand, so I can't imagine there'll be many deals out there. But if I do manage to find anything interesting, I will pop that in the description down below. Now we're all patiently, or probably impatiently, waiting for lockdown to end so we can get back out there on our bikes. I know the first thing that I'm going to do when I get that opportunity is get out on the bike, give the Glamster a good test, get plenty of miles under my belt and come back and tell you what I've found. But we do have the option to get a little bit interactive here because we've got a spell of time before that second part is going to come through. We don't have to rely on me going out and reporting back to you on what I think is important. This is where you can feed back and actually tell me what you'd want to know, maybe some tests you'd like to see, or just some ideas of what can be included in that part 2, and I'll try to get that done for you. So until we get to do that, thanks for watching. I hope it's been useful, and until next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.